So we've got new blood in today. Dan, say hello.
What's going on, guys?
Dan, do us a favor. Tell us who you are before we get going.
My name is Dan Johannes. I'm principal broker of Pico Mortgages. We are a digital or cloud-based brokerage based in Ontario and Alberta, helping people find the money for the houses that hit the market.
We're talking about how to get you money. Who doesn't want to know how to? We're talking about giving you money and how to get money and what your money can get. Who doesn't want to know? Come on, let's go. Let's do this.
Typical Sam fashion. I love it.
So much of what we see in the market today is monkey see, monkey do. We've talked about this a lot. There is such a factor involved in this market that is herd mentality. People follow narrative, and we've seen this regardless of where the market takes us. This has always been a factor in the market. It always will be a factor in the market. And this is no different than when we're talking about how this affects people's purchases and their decisions to buy. We've become so accustomed to low rates over so many years that where we've ended up and where we are right now has, frankly, there's a bit of sticker shock with it associated. That said, historically, it's not particularly far off what we're used to. It's just a bit of sticker shock, as I said, when it comes to what we've become accustomed to over the last 10, 15, 20 years. I'm gonna get Dan here to talk to you a little bit about what to expect when you do enter the market, when you do make this decision, when you wanna buy or sell, how you can expect that to impact you, and what to look for in those scenarios. You hear me talk so much, so I'm gonna let somebody else do a little bit of the talking for once, because, you know, even I get sick of my own voice sometimes. So with that in mind,
If I have someone, let's say a first-time home buyer, they come and they want to get pre-qualified because before you go out and you do the fun stuff with shopping, you want to figure out what your budget is. So a few things you want to be careful of. Obviously, your credit score is going to play into things, especially if you're getting a mortgage with an insurer. We have 3 insurers in Canada, but they all have basically the same guidelines. If you have delinquencies, if you have missed payments, you want to get that kind of rectified. If there are any skeletons in the closet, let's say, for example, you forgot to make a payment on your cell phone bill, that's going to reflect. If it went into collections, and it was, even if it's a couple bucks, it's still going to report, and that could be an issue. But obviously, with the stress test and the way the mortgage qualifying rate works right now, the stress test is 2% higher than your contract rate. That's the rate you're actually getting on your mortgage. And because rates are not static, they're quite variable, they go up and down, it's a good idea to figure out what your budget is now versus trying to get out there and shop around and then go talk to either a banker or a mortgage broker on it. So if you're waiting to get out on the market and waiting for interest rates to drop, I don't know if that's going to be the best strategy right now. If we're talking about buying now versus buying down the road, we got to keep in mind 2024 is a little bit of a different beast. Typically what happens in the Canadian market, at least when it comes to pricing interest rates, is that we follow suit with the US. So whatever the Feds do down south of the border, we kind of follow suit. Otherwise, as a mainly exporting country, it's not good for our economy. So with interest rates the way they are, a lot of economists had predicted last year that we would see an interest rate drop by now, or in the first half of 2024. Now, with some of the revisions and numbers that have come out, most recently in January, we had unemployment numbers that were actually slightly down. Unemployment being down is actually a bad thing for lower interest rates. So the predictions now are that we're likely going to see interest rates a little bit higher, a little bit longer, meaning that anticipation of lower interest rates in the March or maybe the June announcement likely isn't going to happen. Everybody hurts. There's really 2 bets we're looking at right now. The first bet is that if we buy right now, we're going to be buying with a higher interest rate on your mortgage. But if you wait until later on, anticipating that interest rates are going to come down, the likelihood of that happening and timing the market perfectly are kind of slim. You got to ask yourself, do you want to be buying in a market where there's maybe 5 or 10 times the amount of demand out there, and we're still having these supply issues.
That's what we got for you today. Dan, how'd you enjoy your time?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, no, I don't believe him. He had to sit next to me. Until next time, we will,
Stay fit and have fun.
yeah, let's go with that. See you guys. That's perfect.